7:40 tonight, all through the month of May, by the way. Remember, you can get 20% off whatever you buy at CLE Clothing Company. Use the promo code MAYDAY, and you'll be in good shape. They're finding more bodies in Lake Mead, just like everybody knew they would. They found that body in a barrel that they figured, based on the clothes it was wearing, was a gunshot victim from the 70s, put into a barrel. And Lake Mead has record low water levels out there. They're not even letting Lake Powell empty into Lake Mead. They're like holding it back or something. And so you don't have to be a forensic scientist to figure out that there's probably a lot of human remains at the bottom of any massive lake like that. It's the largest reservoir in the entire country. And less than a week after they found that guy in a barrel, they have found more human remains in Lake Mead. Saturday afternoon. And yeah, I wonder if there are people just walking around Lake Mead now. Like little amateur Indiana Joneses walking around looking for human remains. I doubt that there's any. I was reading there were a couple of guys who was offering people $5,000 to find human remains. I don't know if that was like a legit story. But these, and I don't know what their motivations were either.
Good time to sell your baby teeth, though, if you still have them. Just be like, dude, I found these in the lake. You know?
Oh, my God, somebody put a baby in Lake Mead.
Right.
2 retired Las Vegas police officers are offering a reward for people who find bodies in Lake Mead. 2 cops who host the Problem Solver show on local cable say that they would offer $5,000 for anything. There's probably a couple of cops that had some unsolved cold case crimes, and they were like, hey, you know,
dude, I would be...
If there are a couple of bodies under there, let us know.
I don't care how old it is. I would still be traumatized if I found that.
I agree.
Right. If I have to prep, because...
If you saw a skeleton, it would be like if you saw one at a museum.
It's not the same thing.
But it is the same thing.
I can prep myself for it. Like
50-year-old bones, you'd go, oh my God.
Because they're not supposed to, it's a mental thing. They're not supposed to be there. Like if I go to the catacombs, like you guys talk about, I can prep myself for that because I know what it's going to be. I know that there's going to be dead bodies.
Imagine if the Cuyahoga River was drained.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many bodies they would find? Or in the nearest part, you know, go out 5 miles onto Lake Erie. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the shallowest of the Great Lakes. So, bodies at the bottom of every body of water. That's why it's called a body of water, Mary.
Wow.
Because there's so many human remains down there.
You think so?
Yeah, I think there's a lot.
Yes.
I think there's like a couple, a dozen? How many you think?
I mean, how many people get killed and are never located? Those people are somewhere. Not everybody digs. You know, they catch some of these people because they're too stupid to dig a deep grave to spend a little bit more time burying them. They're found in a shallow grave because these people are killers, but they're also lazy. You know, you wrap them in chains and you take...
Nobody wants to work anymore.
Nobody wants to work anymore. Not even murderers.
Get off your ass and dig.
I never understood the concept of the shallow grave. If you're going to bury a body...
You know how hard it is to dig?
But you're already digging. Just keep digging.
When's the last time you dug a hole?
I don't know. I'm not burying bodies.
But
if I had a body to bury, you bet your ass I would dig...
It'll take you like 12 hours.
I don't want to go to prison.
Right, but my point is you have to find a place that you can be alone where no one's going to locate you for that
12
amount
hours,
of time.
yeah.
No hikers, no joggers, no nothing. That's a long time to bury a body.
But here's what I'm saying. If you have found a place where you're pretty sure you're going to be isolated, then time is not of the essence. If you go, I got to get this body in the ground because the joggers come through at 6 a.m., find another place to bury the body. Anyway, what I'm saying is a lot easier to take a body out to the lake or a body of water, drop it in.
Dexter did that. Mm-hmm. The Bay City murderer, Bay Area butcher.
Bay City Rollers, SATURDAY, night.
How much chain do you have to have for it to float down to the bottom? Because I'd be like, all right, I got this chain from a swing. This should work.
What down to the bottom?
Float down.
To float down to the bottom.
What did I say?
To float down.
To float down. Float would imply it was coming up.
Oh, yeah.
To sink to the bottom.
To sink down to the bottom. Sorry.
I mean, you poke the Soprano style, right? You poke the body full of holes, let the gases out, and then you wrap it in chains and you drop it.
You poke it.
Well, you do. That's what makes the bodies float. Is they decompose, they fill up with gases posthumously, and then they just pop up like a balloon. So you fill it full of holes, you wrap it in chains.
And you're asking why I would be traumatized to find a body?
No.
Yeah, but all you're finding is
skeletal
skeleton.
remains.
Yeah.
You're not finding a body after 50 years in Lake Mead.
Again.
You're finding skeletal remains.
I can prepare for it.
I have a
if it's
feeling
in
you would be
museum.
way less traumatized than you think you
Well,
would.
in Jamaica, I didn't get a close-up look.
But that's
if
not
I just
a skeleton. We're talking about a skeleton.
I'm done with lakes.
Perhaps, Poundcake, has it ever occurred to you that perhaps you are too easily traumatized?
No, I think a dead body is.
No.
I think a dead body is perfectly a perfect reason to be traumatized.
But skeletons.
Yes,
We're not
but
talking about,
that was once
we're
a
not talking about a
person.
decomposing body. We're talking about like, oh, I found
No,
some bones.
But
I
they're
feel
not
like-
going to be clean. There's going to be something on them, and they're not
if it's
supposed to
been-
be there.
If it's been a long time, you don't know where they're supposed to be.
They're not supposed to be there.
You don't know that. Maybe they were supposed to be there. Maybe that's what they wanted.
Maybe it was a competitive diver, and he thought, I'm not going to get as far down as I want unless I wrap myself in chains.
A competitive diver in a lake. Come on, man.
You got to start
In the
somewhere.
shallowest lake.
Right.
I was gonna say the shallow. You guys talk about the shallowest lake, but it's still like what, a mile deep, 2 miles deep.
No, it's like 30 feet.
It's not 30 feet down.
30
But it's
feet.
not a mile deep.
It's like a
Right.
mile deep.
What is?
Lake Erie.
No, it's not. It's the shallowest of the Great Lakes. Superior, Michigan, those might be a mile.
Yeah, I know it's the shallowest, but I mean the rest are just really, really deep. It's at least like it's not. We're not talking like
210 feet.
how far in that?
Not that
It ain't a
much.
mile.
I feel like we're 200 feet up. How tall are
No,
how far
we're not that high up.
how far up are we? 30 feet? We've done this.
Erie has the smallest
About
depth.
50 feet, maybe.
Erie has the smallest, its maximum depth is 210 feet. Its average depth is 62 feet.
How do boats just like this? They have some big ass boats on Lake Erie. How do
Yeah.
they just
Now,
cruise through that?
how many feet do you think there are in a mile?
There's it's like 1,300 feet, right?
No.
5,280.
So a little off.
Yeah, like that's
They're not
ocean
5.
depth.
Yeah, it's not
right there.
5,000 feet deep.
Well, that's not high at all.
Okay, a football.
There is a
wait.
lake that's a mile deep, but it's just not in this country.
A football field is 360 feet. So think end zone to end zone. And Lake Erie is more shallow than that.
Ew.
If you were to stand a football field up top to bottom, Lake Erie would be 100 feet less than that.
Yeah. There's a lake, I think that there's a lake in Siberia, in Russia. It's like a mile deep. It's a massive lake. It's a mile deep.
And a lot of bodies there. 200 feet is nothing.
No.
Yeah, that. No wonder it's so dirty.
Lake Mead's water level is the lowest since the year after the Hoover Dam created it, 1937. These are human-made reservoirs, Lake Powell, Lake Mead,
Well, then they
because
should
they divert water from the Colorado River.
Make a new one.
Yeah, make it.
But there's no water. That's the problem. What do you don't need another reservoir when there's no water to put in it.
I guess that's right.
You're putting the cart before the seahorse.
So make more
I just
water.
feel bad for all these people that have nowhere to throw bodies now.
Where are they going to put it?
Like that's like, is
water.
anybody thinking of them?
Hydrogen and oxygen, 2 parts to 1. It's like a recipe.
Why don't you just make
more
some water? Especially you're out there in California.
Yeah.
We got a drought. We got a
Go catch a
water
cloud and
ban.
condense it.
Yeah, just
Come
make your own water.
Grow up.
You make everything else.
This just reminds me of when I was in Mexico and they were like, "Do you guys want to see the School of Fish?" I was like, "No." And
3 Strange Days.
no,
Anyone? Go ahead.
nothing. It was just scary because like I'm looking down and I can see the bed of the ocean, and then
Didn't you take an oceans class?
Yes.
yes,
And a
would think-
dinosaurs class.
I think boat physics would have been part of that.
no, it wasn't. But still, seeing a school of fish right there, and you're floating above it, and all it takes is one fish to get pissed off, and then the whole thing swarm at you. That was pretty nerve wracking. So
But what kind of fish were they? And that scared you?
Clownfish.
I think they probably were clownfish actually.
You got scared of clownfish?
It was a school of fish.
But that's cool.
They
That's
don't
like
eat people.
beautiful. That's amazing.
I was floating,
and you're
and
just like,
Piranha.
oh my goodness.
I started panicking because they started getting closer and closer, and I'm like, I don't get away
Panicking. Like
from
I
me.
said, he's too easily traumatized.
Yeah.
I will
Some
say-
clowns
Okay,
can be very
yeah.
scary.
That's
You're talking about SEX in front of the CHILDREN.
Sex Cauldron? I thought they closed that place down.
While we're on The Simpsons, there's also an episode where there was a atomic bomb, like a blast, kills everybody. There's skeletons all over the place, and Homer's not bothered by it at all. But then he gets into a Hertz, and there's a coffin in the backseat, and he's like, "Ooh, a coffin!"
Alan, didn't Poundcake say he could dig ditches big enough for 3 cars? Yes,
that was
he
a
did.
trench.
That was a trench for cars.
As a distraction, so he could...
As a distraction, so he could save Michael Jackson from the clutches of Russia.
Ukrainians?
Something, the Russians. He could get him out of Moscow. Alan, they dredge the river every couple of years. Sure they do. What if those 2 Vegas cops offering the rewards are the ones that put the bodies there and they want to taint the evidence that links them by being on the scene? Taint. Oh, gosh.
Taints are shrinking.
Taints are shrinking because of all the microplastics.
Like Lake Mead.
In the bodies of water.
It all comes full circle in
This
the
whole
last 4 minutes.
It taint what it used to be.
Ain't what it used to be, these taints.
I can't believe Lake Erie is smaller than a football field.
Yes.
Not
I
smaller.
also thought 1,300 feet was
Shallower.
a mile. So.
Shallower.
You did think 1,300 feet was a mile.
And that body's floated down. There's so much wrong with this segment right now.
From an oceans class graduate, by the way. Took oceans. None of us took oceans. He took a class called Oceans.
And he got scared by a clownfish, a school of clownfish.
It was a lot.
Wait a second. Was the class about Billy and his brothers?
No,
Was it about Frank?
it was not.
Scared by clownfish.
Bro, if there's 1,000 of anything, you're not going to
Not
be
minnows.
Cool. Bro, I don't care what it is. If there's a lot of something in one of you,
What do you think a clownfish
What
is
are they
going
going
to
to
do
do
to you? They're like 2 inches big.
it doesn't matter.
He thinks that 1,300 feet is a mile, so 2 inches to him is probably a
I
gargantuan
feel like
measurement.
he's got inches on lock.
Oh, yeah, I think that's the one where he knows it.
That's what it is. He can't comprehend feet.
But this was after you saw Finding Nemo, wasn't it? You'd think you'd be like, oh my God, all these Nemos.
I don't like large quantities of anything.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. 606. I don't know where I'll use that, but I'll use that.
If you have to ever negotiate your salary, it'll be like, well,
Salary, LOL.
yeah, so we were going to...
Celery?
Next time you negotiate a celery for yourself, yeah.
He'd be like, yeah, I want more money. They're like, actually, you said you don't like large quantities of anything.
That's
so
right. So that's what we're
you're
going to keep
not
giving you.
getting any.
Non-large quantities. We'll give you the equivalent of a couple hundred clownfish.
Can you just give me 8 rice? I don't like large quantities of anything.
Hey, you were talking about the King of the Hill theme song being from a real band, and it reminded me of when I learned that the Jackass theme song is actually an old Minutemen song from the 80s. It blew my mind in college.
And there's a cat back there, right? Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. If you're not like of a certain age, you don't know that Jackass song is a Minutemen. Remember the? You might not remember
I
the
don't know the
Minutemen.
Minutemen. I didn't.
The song is called Corona. This came out. The album came out like right before the band broke up because, their singer died. This guy D. Boone from the Minutemen. They hadn't been around very long, but they had a pretty lasting impression. Like Mike Watt has been the guy who most famously came out of the Minutemen, but this guy D. Boone, who fronted the band, died in a car wreck like a year after this album came out. But they were pretty good. But yeah, that's the Jackass theme song. This song called Corona by the Minutemen. 1984. I did mention in the group chat that season 3 of I Think You Should Leave has been greenlit over there at Netflix.
Took them long enough. Basically, the only show that people watch on Netflix.
Yeah.
You couldn't be more wrong.
But although it does bear, based on the topic, it does bear repeated viewing of coffin flops. That's pretty good.
It's not. None of it's good.
I didn't do this.
That's even you can't admit to that, Mary. You've said that Bones Are Their Money is good.
Bones Other Money is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But it's the only one.
You don't like the hot dog soup guy?
I don't like any of it. So
hot dog soup guy?
everything
Did
you've ever
this?
shown me is bad. It's not funny.
In this random hot dog car.
awful.
Random.
Bones are the skeleton's money. In
So
our world,
stupid.
bones equal dollars. That's why they're coming out tonight to get their bones from you. The skeletons will pull your hair up, but not out. All they want's another chance at life. They've never seen so much food as this. Undergrounders have as much food as this. The worms are their money. The bones are their dollars. And
The bullet ripped inside my chest.
I love it.
The bones are their money.
Give me season 3.
Mary
Can't wait.
Santora's favorite thing on television of all time.
No. That would be the nail in the coffin in my relationship. If I came home and my boyfriend's watching, I think you should leave laughing his ass off. I'm like, that's it.
You mean you
But
didn't
why does
ask
it bother
him?
you that other people like it?
Because it's so bad.
You
But
should
it's so
you should have
funny.
asked him that before you moved in, by the way.
If I get home tonight,
Yeah.
that's on the TV.
That's the equivalent of you don't ask about anal after you get married.
Yeah.
You find out about I think you should leave before you cohabit. Alan, easy fix, pre-dig the hole for the body. That's how you do it. You know
Smart.
you're going to kill somebody. Less a crime of passion. But you know you're going to kill somebody. You pre-dig the hole.
So what
That's
do you
why I'm
say?
not passionate about things.
Oh, they're saying because you have more time, you can go dig for a couple hours a day.
Yeah.
Speaking of John Wayne Gacy, how did he not get caught like digging in his backyard? I understand. Like
It was
They were
under the house.
Under the
He was in
house.
the crawl space and stuff.
Yeah, I understood like the cross space, like that was in his house, but I thought there were bodies like literally in his backyard behind his shed.
I think he ran out of room. You might be right.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
what
he
I'm saying.
ran out
No
of
one
room.
noticed.
and
He was just
People-
digging a mad hole.
People just didn't pay attention. Well, they you know
No,
they
that's
mind their
just John.
business. You know, they mind their business.
Yeah, I don't
back
know what
then.
my neighbors are doing in their backyard. I don't. What am I, Wilson, looking over the friggin' fence? I don't care. If they got bodies back there, you know, it's good phosphorus. Maybe they're trying to grow azaleas or something.
Good phosphorus.
Okay, I got to take a break. If you want to get the last word in, send me a text, 351